Behind me is the 2024 Jeep Wagoneer S. It is the brand's first global battery electric vehicle, and it is designed to bring Jeep buyers into a fully electrified future. Let's take a quick look inside and out to see how it compares to the Wagoneer, as well as the Grand Cherokee, which now sits between this car and the entry to the Wagoneer line. Here's a quick rundown of some of the important specs on the Wagoneer S. First, it takes advantage of a 400 volt electrical architecture and a 100.5 kilowatt hour battery pack. Now, Jeep is quoting a 20 to 80% charge time of 23 minutes. That probably is going to be closer to 30 minutes on the more industry standard 10 to 80%. And something that Kia EV9, which this isn't a 3-year-old, but that one is, can do in about the same time as this takes to do 20. Additionally, Jeep is quoting a 0 to 60 time, because that matters in a Jeep, of 3.4 seconds, because it has 600 horsepower and 617 foot-pounds of torque. Also, this is actually not that heavy of a car, all things considered, with a curb weight of 5,667 pounds and a towing capacity of up to 3,400 pounds. That's not necessarily best in class, but it is realistically what people of this vehicle type will buy and tow with. Jeep likes to brag that it has 45 inches of screen, which in our interior walkthrough will show that to you. It also has a 19-speaker, 1,200-watt Macintosh audio system, which, in our opinion, the Macintosh audio in the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer is some of the best in the business, and we look forward to sampling all of our crappy music in it when we get a chance to drive it later this year. Let's start our walk around tour with a look at this blue one, and with the front trunk open. And there's actually some front trunk space, about enough to put a charging cable, maybe a book bag or something like that. It isn't drainable like, let's say, like the Ford Lightning, so you're not going to run any tailgates out of this, but it is nice to see that sort of as an option here up front. Getting inside, it is, of course, going to beep at us incessantly because the ignition is on. But Jeep likes to brag that there's some 45 inches of screen there, which includes this digital instrument cluster. Keep in mind, this is a very early pre-production kind of prototype, so stuff isn't going to always work. But you do have the main instrument cluster, and then you have the Uconnect 5 with special EV functionality on display here. Like on the Grand Wagoneer, though, there is a separate lower display that you can use to control driver massage, climate control functions, and stuff like that. So even though this is branded as a Wagoneer, it does have some of the Grand Wagoneer touches built into it. And then below it is a storage. Slide that up out of the way, and there's a storage area. This is still using Uconnect 5, which is a system that we like a lot. It supports wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And while it's not necessarily enabled right now, this version does also have a passenger screen, where passengers can help with navigation, look at charging information, or even watch stuff on the built-in Fire TV. The launch edition will come with a 19-speaker, 1,200-watt Macintosh audio system. It's not exactly the reference version that's available in the Grand Wagoneer, which I think is 24 speakers, but this is the most speaker wattage combination in a non-reference Macintosh Wagoneer, and is a much better audio setup than what is in Grand Cherokee right now, which is obviously gas only, but still, I think it's worth a fair comparison. The big red stop button is not standard. Of course, that's part of this being a prototype. But as you can see, there are heated and ventilated outboard seats, as well as a couple of other USB ports back here. It's important to recognize that this is smaller than a Grand Cherokee in the lineup. So it's not going to have necessarily as many features or as much space as in the back of a Wagoneer or Grand Wagoneer. But because of the EV architecture, they are able to put a decent amount of space in here. Now, there is actually a little bit, it's hard to tell on this camera, a raised floor sort of in the center. It's important to realize that STLA Large does support multiple powertrains and not just EVs. The Wagoneer S will ship with a CCS port. However, Stellantis has pledged to convert their vehicles to J3400 by 2025-ish, I believe. You can fold down the second row, but what I am surprised with is the amount of space behind that second row. Again, you've got a pretty flat load floor space, and they love it when you lift this stuff up on prototypes, don't they? And then underneath, they do actually have some additional storage where the power cable is and stuff, though there won't be a spare tire in here. Womp womp. So overall, a decent amount of storage space, especially when compared to a Grand Cherokee. It'd be nice to see a spare tire, but those don't exist anymore. And because this thing only weighs 5,600 pounds, which is a lot, but light for an EV, they're doing what they can to save weight. We've already highlighted the front trunk, but you can see this has a nearly unchanged design from the concept, and it has this 7-slat Jeep grille, the more focused LED headlights, and mostly a closed-off front grille because, again, this is a battery electric vehicle. It doesn't need all of that airflow. It's rocking a Wagoneer badge along the side, including the American flag. And this particular one is worth noting because it has an excellent red interior. One other neat trick that we'd like to point out on the exterior that the Wagoneer S does pretty well is actually the rear slant of the roof. So if you look underneath the rear wing, it actually slants off like a SUV coupe, but then it has this extra wing for aero sort of on top. Visually, it makes it look like it is longer and flatter like a Wagoneer, but if you were to remove this piece, not that I suggest that you do, this would actually have a very slopey coupe-like appearance. All Wagoneer S's will have the black Wagoneer S badge. And also, interestingly, this is the first time that we've seen in North America the 4xe badge apply to an all-electric vehicle. Typically, that is on their plug-in hybrid. So, on the Jeep Avenger in Europe, it does have that badging. Jeep has done a terrific job at making the Wagoneer S basically the baby Wagoneer. Thanks to the STLA Large platform, it could also have both a hybrid and regular gas powertrain versions, though here you notice obviously even more just in the EVs. This will go on sale later this year in the fall, and the launch edition will start right around $72,000. After we finished recording our walk around, Jeep decided to show off a Trailhawk concept version of the Wagoneer S. Keen observers will see that the Wagoneer S currently doesn't have a trail-rated version, and this Wagoneer S Trailhawk concept is designed to be that future off-road version of the vehicle. While it's still a concept right now, it has a new rock mode as part of its selectable drive modes and a rear locker. It's sporting a Bruce exterior color. It actually has some self-healing paint on it that allegedly will heal itself in the sun from light scratches, trail rash, things like that. And the badging is all flush to the vehicle. Even the desert rated badge on the fenders is flush mounted. And Jeep says that is inspired by modern aircraft design. There's a 3-inch lift, 2 inches from the suspension, 1 inch from the wheels, and a mantis green interior, which the off-road controls inside are finished in red anodized metal. And there's also a laser cut aluminum roof rack. The tow hooks are still here. They're red, but they're made using a lighter weight material that doesn't reduce the functionality of the tow hooks. But when you're trying to keep weight down on a vehicle, that's what you need to do. The Wagoneer S isn't Stellantis' first EV that they've introduced this year to the U.S. market. Watch our first drive video of the Fiat 500e by clicking the video link right over here.